we'll be taking up the subject of karma, action, in the context of a lifestyle of meditation. Both things are very intimately connected with each other. Whatever experiences I'm having in meditation will be reflected through the actions that I perform. The actions that I perform will have a very deep impact in the way in which I think and the responses of my mind, which is obviously then connected with the factor of meditation. The other thing is that whatever our relationship may be, that has an influence on our lifestyle and our behavior. Human beings will influence me in a specific way, good or bad. But equally, if I have an inner connection with God, then God's influence is also going to impact my lifestyle. Meditation also means having an inner purification so that my ability to see, to perceive, to understand is heightened. Before I meditate, perhaps the situation is that I see what's going on, but I'm not able to come to any great understanding of what it is that's happening. And because of my lack of clarity, I'm also not able to decide what it is I need to do. The general situation so far has been that we get confused, we take the wrong steps, we feel the repercussions of that come back to us. The more complex the situation becomes, the greater the confusion, the more the mistakes, and we really find ourselves in a trap from which it's very, very difficult to escape. This is why meditation and karma, my life of activity, both go together and influence each other. Karma yoga has been one of the terms given to this path of meditation. On the one side action, and on the other side silence. The silence teaching me what action I should perform, and the action allowing me to go into the depths of the experience of silence. This path has also been described as Raja Yoga, yoga, the union with God, the inner link, but also Raja, the sovereign. And in the context of my life here on earth, it's not a question of having authority over anyone else. It's very important to appreciate this, because so often relationships and life become a power struggle. Even within one family, if it's 3 children in the family, there's usually a power struggle that's going on within the 3, but equally within the parents and the relationship of the parents and the way they influence each other and the way they influence the children. That also is another power game that goes on. Raj Yoga means to be the sovereign of myself, the sovereign of my mind first and foremost, so that I can determine the direction of my thinking and my feelings. And then other things follow in a very natural and automatic way, because then, if my thoughts are moving in the right direction, I become the master of my physical senses, my eyes, my ears, my lips, my hands, my feet. In order to be the master over the self, I take power from God and use that power then to be a karma yogi. It means then that I fully appreciate what is going to be the impact of every thought that I have, of the way in which I see things, of the words that I speak, and the things that I hear. Karma yoga means to be aware of what is cause and what is effect, what is action and what is reaction. So often we do things and afterwards we say, but I wish I hadn't done it. Maybe at that time of making decisions there was lack of clarity, or maybe My conscience was able to give me the right guidance, but I lacked the inner power, the willpower, the strength to follow through the dictates of my conscience. I was led astray by external forces, or even perhaps the force of my own negative aspects of personality. Karma Yoga means to have the power with which to discern clearly, so that I make the right choices. My own good fortune was that when I came to Raj Yoga, I made the choices with which I'm happy with even today, 25 years later. How many can actually say that if they were to turn the clock back 25 years, would they be able to say that yes, given the same situation, I would make those same choices? If I can say that, I'm a very fortunate soul indeed, because it means that I did make the right choices. But not even over such a long span of time. Sometimes even a minute later we say, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, because it took a minute to say something and it'll take 6 months to repair the damage of what I did in the space of just a few seconds of a few words. And so Karma Yoga means to understand, and then secondly, to implement the right thing at the right time, in the right way, so that there is never any cause for regrets, and it means that I guarantee happiness for myself. Very often we like to escape responsibility. We try to put the blame on others. A little child will drop a glass and the glass will break, and then the child will say, but it just happened. The child won't want to take responsibility and say, I made the glass fall, or the glass dropped from my hands, but it just happened. But that trait of childhood continues on into maturity and our adult life also. Things take place and we'll try and avoid responsibility for whatever it is. Or the other aspect of human nature is that we'll point the finger outwards and say, this one is responsible, or that one is responsible, or the other one is responsible. But the law of karma actually makes us aware that whatever I'm experiencing today is coming to me because of whatever it is I have done in the past. I don't know at what point of time I sowed those seeds, but definitely it's a reality that I sowed those seeds and I'm receiving the fruit today. I cannot allocate it to somebody else and say they sowed the seeds and I'm receiving the fruit now. Good or bad, I accept responsibility for both. But the other side of the equation is very empowering, because it means that whatever seeds I sow today, I can guarantee what the fruits are going to be in the future. If I sow seeds of hatred and bitterness, then the fruits of sorrow and suffering is what's going to come to me. Yet if today I sow the seeds of good karma, of good wishes, of love, of cooperation with others, then the fruits of that are also guaranteed and they're going to come back to me. Although the word karma is of course action, yet there can be not just the physical actions that we perform, but action is also related very much with thought. If my thoughts are seeds, then those seeds also bring very powerful returns in terms of fruits. Good thoughts, and the fruit of that is a good feeling inside, happiness within, a good atmosphere that's generated, and an environment in which good things will happen. Bad thoughts, negative thoughts, and there's going to be an impact within my own state of being and my consciousness, in which I'll be left with a bad feeling, but others will be able to pick up this vibration of negativity from me, and so I'll damage that connection with others also. But thoughts also reach out into the environment and create vibration. And so the vibration that I create around me will be of negativity, which means that even if there had been the possibility of good things to happen, because I have generated a negative atmosphere, it's now very difficult for good things to materialize. And of course I don't realize this. I have a bad thought, a negative thought, and then afterwards good things aren't happening, and then I say, you see, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I don't realize that I actually negated the possibility of something good happening. But the other side is very powerful. Let me constantly have good thoughts, and as a result of my positive thoughts, my good thoughts, I'll see wonderful things of God's magic happening around me. I'll see the beauty of life unfold in front of me. And so karma is very much connected to what's going on in my own inner world. Not just on the question of thought and impact of thought, but also in terms of my physical action and the motivation with which I perform the action. For example, I donate 5,000, whether it's 5,000 rupees, $5,000, whatever it may be. But the value of that donation is actually connected with the motive with which I gave. It can be of the highest motive. I only have a little, but what little I have, out of the love and compassion in my heart, I want to share with another being who is in need, whose need is greater than mine. And so I'm willing to give something of what belongs to me, and I share it with that individual. Now that is good karma, definitely, because my motive is of compassion and love. And that good karma not only is an act of charity in which another human being benefits, but that pure act is also that karma by which I come very close to God. Good karma, good action, good deeds, good thoughts is a very powerful method of building up a connection with God, in which the relationship becomes a very deep, significant, very sweet one. It also means that because I have done that which is right, that which is good, I have guaranteed that in the future I will receive the return for this. But the immediate return that I receive from this is the power that comes from God for doing that which is right, and secondly, the happiness that my heart feels when I see that I'm doing that which is right. And so good karma brings a lot of return. However, let's take that same action and put it into a slightly different context. They're collecting money to build a temple or a church, and they're going to write up all the names on the wall. And I look at the name of somebody who's given 10,000, and I say, well, I'd like my name to be up there too. And I can't give 10,000, but at least let me give 5,000. And even if my name can't go higher than that one, at least it will come a few steps lower, but at least it will be there. And so the motive with which I give is definitely not compassion or love, but rather it's the situation of ego in which I want my name to be known and visible and glorified. And yes, that money has been used for a good task, and so it definitely brings a return in some way or another, but it's not that karma by which I actually come close to God. And so the same karma, depending on the quality of my motive behind it, can actually be very powerful good karma or not so good karma. Of course, there's that situation in which it isn't just motive or intention, but even on the external physical level, it is actually wrong karma, it is bad karma. If I do any action that causes hurt or suffering to another being, then there's no question about it, that is bad karma. If I've done karma that gives happiness to another, that is definitely good karma. If I do any action that's influenced by negativity, lust or anger or greed or attachment or arrogance or laziness, plus all the multitude of brothers and sisters that these 5 major negative forces have, well, there's no question about which category of karma that goes into. If I do karma in the awareness of my spiritual identity, even if it's very simple karma, I walk down the road, but I do it in that inner awareness of being a soul. As I walk, I'm actually at that moment then sharing the vibrations of the peace that is within the soul. I'm actually not just walking down the road, I'm actually being a messenger of peace. Where I walk, I will share peace with others. And even if there's nobody else around, as I walk, I'll share peace with the environment, and I'll be actually purifying nature itself. A very simple action in that way can become pure karma if it's done in the eternal consciousness of the soul. And of course, when I see another being as the soul, then I respond to them again on the level of pure karma. The vision is one of purity, and so there's pure love that is exchanged. The words that are spoken are filled with respect and sweetness. They're words that give encouragement and support. They're not words that will deny and cause problems, but they will give support and strength. The actions that I perform when I see you as my brother the soul also are actions that are positive ones. And so any action performed in soul consciousness is going to be good karma, and the other side is true. Action performed in physical consciousness is going to be negative karma. Action performed in the remembrance of God is very definitely good karma. For example, if I'm cooking a meal, if I'm cooking it just with thoughts of my children and what it is they like to eat and their desires, then that food is going to be cooked with a great deal of attachment filled within it. And yes, the children will love what I've cooked for them, but the bond of possessiveness and attachment is going to grow very deeply and strong. Whereas if I cook food, working with my hands, but letting my mind be in God's love, in God's remembrance, then God's love is filled within the food, and whoever partakes is going to feel their heart become lighter, and their thoughts will come more easily towards God. They will be able to feel the vibrations of God's love. And so action performed in the remembrance of God is definitely good karma. And the third criteria for good karma is this factor of happiness or sorrow. Is this action going to cause happiness to another, or is this action going to cause sorrow? These are very simple guidelines. One doesn't need to have a scripture or a textbook by one side, and in fact in real life it's not possible to walk around carrying a set of guidelines under my arm. Also, the reality of the world today is that the stockpile of books, whether it's books on religion and law, whatever it may be, all those things are growing, but yet the world becomes more unrighteous and more lawless. And so what I need to have is a very simple method that I carry within myself, with which I'm able to know that which is right and that which is wrong, so that I keep moving in the direction which is right. No matter how many mistakes I may have made in the past, no matter how many wrongs there may have been, yet if today I decide to do that which is right, I will have God's power and God's help available with me, and I'll be able to balance out and annul all the effect of the bad karma. This is God's promise to us, so that we're able then to return to that state where the soul has been cleansed and carries only good karma within its own being. The more we pause for a moment before stepping into action, the clearer our discernment will be as to what is right and wrong. The more time we spend in contemplation of God, the greater the power we have with which to be able to decide. Let us spend a few moments together in meditation, in this awareness. I sit comfortably, letting the body relax, and I focus my thoughts inwards on the being that is life, the being which is the source of all life. I have within myself the ability to see, to understand, and to discern. I go deep into my own being, and I make the link with God, so that God's love and God's purity washes my intellect and all the dust that I have accumulated. And as I become clean, I see things as they truly are, and I see the direction in which I must go. I take from God the power to be able to follow the path of truth, so that I can reach my destination. I keep this consciousness of my link with God as I step back into the awareness of this physical dimension and begin my life of action and my duties here. I keep God's guidance with me. Om Shanti.